The peak of arrogance. The email arrived on a Tuesday morning. Subject line, urgent all-hands meeting. The middle manager, David, read it calmly. He'd seen this pattern before. The boss, Mr. Sterling, was preparing another purge. Sterling had built his reputation on one thing: revenue. He drove his teams relentlessly at this Fortune 500 finance division, and the numbers showed it. But the human cost was invisible on the quarterly reports. Sterling saw David's department not as a team of people, but as a machine. And David was the component that kept the machine running smoothly, even when Sterling pushed it past its breaking point. David was the buffer. He absorbed the pressure, shielded his staff from the worst of Sterling's demands, and worked late into the night to meet impossible deadlines himself. He treated everyone with a quiet kindness that was rare in that environment. He remembered birthdays, asked about sick children, and always fought for his team's well-being. This made David beloved, and it made Sterling resentful. In Sterling's world, loyalty was a currency spent on him alone. He watched as staff gravitated toward David's calm leadership, and a quiet fury began to simmer. He started looking for a reason, a justification to remove what he saw as a challenge to his authority. The opportunity came in the form of a simple client lunch. The reign of terror. To understand the betrayal, you need to understand the environment Sterling cultivated. His management style was a study in pressure. Unreasonable hours weren't the exception. They were the baseline. He would send emails at midnight demanding revisions to presentations by 6 a.m. He publicly berated junior staff for minor typos, calling it a lack of rigor. The office operated on a constant low hum of anxiety. David created pockets of sanity within this chaos. While Sterling demanded results at any cost, David focused on sustainable effort. He would take the brunt of Sterling's tirades, then calmly debrief his team. "Ignore the tone," he'd say. "Focus on the task. We can do this together." He would order pizza for late nights, and he was always the last to leave, ensuring no one was left alone to face an overwhelming workload. Sterling saw this not as leadership, but as insubordination. He interpreted David's compassion as a weakness, his popularity as a threat. The final straw was a major project deadline. Sterling demanded a complete overhaul of a client proposal with just 24 hours' notice. The team was exhausted. David went to Sterling's office. "The team is at their limit," he said firmly. "If we push them like this, the quality will suffer, and we risk burning them out." Sterling's face tightened. This was direct defiance. "Your job isn't to protect them, David. Your job is to get the work done. If they can't handle the pressure, they don't belong here." David held his ground. "My job is to lead them. And right now, leading them means saying this isn't sustainable." He didn't back down. He protected his staff from that impossible demand, finding a compromise that delivered a quality product without destroying his team. In that moment, Sterling's resentment crystallized into a plan. David had to go. The unjust betrayal. The plan was built on a lie. Sterling needed a reason that sounded legitimate. He found it in David's strength, his relationships. David was excellent with clients. They trusted him. One of the firm's key account managers, Sarah, had worked closely with David for years. They had a professional, respectful rapport. After a successful project launch, David and Sarah, along with a few other team members, went for a casual lunch to celebrate. It was a normal, collegial event. Sterling twisted this into something sinister. He began whispering to his own superiors that David had questionable boundaries with clients. He framed the lunch as evidence of an overly familiar relationship that could pose an integrity risk. He manufactured a narrative, suggesting David was sharing confidential information or offering preferential treatment. It was a complete fabrication, but Sterling presented it with cold conviction. The day of the firing was orchestrated for maximum humiliation. Sterling called David into a glass-walled conference room in full view of the entire office. He didn't offer a chair. "David, we've received concerns about your integrity," Sterling began, his voice devoid of emotion. He cited the client lunch, calling it an unacceptable breach of protocol. He accused David of fostering unprofessional dependencies. David stood silently, absorbing the accusations. He didn't raise his voice. He simply said, "Those allegations are not true. Everyone on that team, including Sarah, can attest to the professional nature of our work." Sterling cut him off. "The decision is made. Your employment is terminated, effective immediately. Security will escort you out." The scene was brutal and swift. As David collected his things under the watchful eye of a security guard, the office was frozen. You could feel the shock, then the anger, radiating from every desk. David's exit was dignified. He shook a few hands, thanked his team for their hard work, and walked out with his head held high. The moment the door closed behind him, the silence broke. Whispers turned into outraged conversations. The team gathered in small groups, trying to process the sheer injustice of what they had just witnessed. They had seen the real integrity issue, and it wasn't David. It was the man who had just fired him. And in that moment, a silent pact was formed. This could not stand. The machine was about to turn against its operator. The collective reckoning. The injustice didn't just create anger, it forged a resolve. The staff didn't scatter in fear. They organized. That same afternoon, a junior analyst named Chloe sent a simple encrypted message to a trusted group. "We need to talk, not here." They met at a quiet cafe after work, the air thick with a mixture of grief and determination. The question wasn't if they would respond, but how. A direct confrontation would be futile. Sterling would simply fire them all. They needed something undeniable. A case built not on emotion, but on cold, hard evidence. Their strategy was methodical. They began documenting everything. Every unreasonable demand, every midnight email, every instance of public humiliation. They recorded dates, times, and saved every written communication. They created a shared, secure digital folder they called the Ledger. It started as a record of abuse, but it soon became a weapon. They realized Sterling's greatest weakness was his own arrogance. He believed he was untouchable, so he was careless. He would make offhand comments about bending rules, about pressuring clients in unethical ways. The staff started discreetly recording audio on their phones during one-on-one meetings with him. Meanwhile, they learned that the parent company was sending a new general manager to oversee operations. This was their opportunity. They couldn't go to Sterling's direct reports. They were part of his inner circle. The new GM was an unknown variable, a potential ally. They prepared their case like prosecutors. They compiled the Ledger into a formal dossier. Spreadsheets of unpaid overtime, transcripts of abusive tirades, audio clips of him admitting to pressuring clients against their best interests. They highlighted the stark contrast between Sterling's fabricated integrity issues against David and his own very real misconduct. The final piece was the client testimony. Remember Sarah, the key account manager Sterling had used in his lie? She was outraged by how her professional relationship with David had been twisted. She provided a written statement praising David's integrity and condemning Sterling's oppressive tactics. Other clients who had witnessed Sterling's behavior offered similar accounts. The case was now airtight. The delivery was as coordinated as the intelligence gathering. They requested a meeting with the new GM, presenting themselves as a unified front. They laid out the evidence calmly and professionally. They showed how Sterling's management style was not just abusive, but a tangible liability that was damaging client relationships and creating massive legal exposure for the company, potential OSHA violations for unpaid overtime and hostile work environment claims. They revealed the true reason for David's firing, not integrity, but a personal vendetta against a manager who protected his people. The new GM was stunned. This wasn't a disgruntled employee. This was a mutiny fueled by overwhelming evidence. He launched an immediate internal investigation, which only corroborated the staff's claims. Sterling was called into the same glass-walled conference room where he had fired David. This time, the roles were reversed. The GM presented the dossier. Sterling's arrogance evaporated as he faced the mountain of evidence his own staff had built. He tried to bluster, to deflect, but the audio recordings played back his own voice. He was completely isolated. The people he had counted on to be cogs in his machine had become the architects of his downfall. The shameful fall. The termination was swift. Sterling was escorted from the building, his authority obliterated. The news spread through the industry with startling speed, fueled by the very network of clients and colleagues he had alienated. He was not just fired, he was blacklisted. His reputation was synonymous with toxicity and unethical conduct. The fortune and status he had built on fear crumbled overnight. He returned to his family not as a powerful executive, but as a man defined by his own failures, a permanent stain on his name. The staff had not just gotten revenge, they had restored balance, proving that true integrity will always, eventually, expose its opposite.